is the show, though. This is all you see, isn't it, when you tune into the BBC?
Yeah. Push the button.
All right, Eddie.
Jacob, will you put me in the frame here again? You've just got your millions of adoring fans there, and you just want me to make you even look better than ever.
After three, let's say good afternoon, Eddie. 1, 2, 3. Good afternoon, Eddie. Have you got a message for the Autosport show?
Sadly for the Autosport show people, a lot of people have been writing to me, I've just had a new ear fitted, and they also want to know why haven't I had a new tongue fitted, because they're fed up with the old one.
And are you looking forward to another season of F1 on the BBC?
Jake, my New Year resolution, or my New Year resolution, is to make you look even more famous, more gorgeous, more adoring to the fans, and the BBC is going to whip all the opposition. How about that?
Eddie, that got the biggest cheer of the afternoon. How about that?
But it's all for you, Jake. I know I keep making you even bigger and famous, and me making myself look smaller and smaller.
Eddie, it's DC. What kind of shirt are you wearing today?
Jake, what are you doing there? I can just about make you out. I tell you what, in Cape Town on the golf course is not really the place to be shouting and roaring.
Right, we'll let you get back to the golf, Eddie, but on behalf of the Autosport show, have a good day. Carry on working hard.
As always, Jake, you did the lion's share of the work, and we just immediately get aftermath.
All right, bye. I couldn't tell if there's any swear words in there, but if there was, I apologise.
Unequivocally, a broadcasting low.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Jordan. Indeed. Brilliant.
All I can say is thank God for Sky. I'm only joking. I will
like
not be watching Sky. Who won't be watching Sky? That's a lot of me worrying.
No. Give us a cheer for the BBC.
Nice. What's going to change in 2012 on the beat then?
Okay, so obviously things will change, and I think the first thing to say is that for the last 3 years, myself, Eddie, David, the whole production team have loved bringing you access to Formula One. And when we first got the job, our aim was to try and take everybody as close to the sport as possible, take you from your living room and plonk you into the pit lane or the garage. And I remember getting a letter from a woman after Jensen won the title telling me that she was in the garage with us, and I thought, why didn't she come over and say hello? And then she signed off by saying, so thanks for taking me from my front room to a garage in Brazil. And that sums up what we want to do with the coverage. You know, we wanted to get into the garages, tap the drivers on the shoulder and interview them when they were least expecting it, get closer than ever before to the teams and the team bosses. And all of that will remain. The great news is, when we do the highlights, they're on at a really good time. So instead of, say, 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon for 2 hours, so loads of Formula One action. When we're live, they're going to be, just as they always have been, loads of build-up, loads of post-race. There's going to be an F1 forum after every single programme. We've got, I think, the best lineup of TV people we've ever had. The best motorsport commentator in this country, Ben Edwards, is going to join us. That's good news, isn't it? Ben's brilliant on the British Touring Cars.
He's here tomorrow, actually. Looking forward to that.
Turn up and say hello. And Gary Anderson as well, who's designed race-winning F1 cars. So a great team. But the big thing for me is how we're going to do the highlights and the post-race action on the highlights. And I think David is probably the man to tell you about that, because that's going to be his raison d'etre on the show, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's at that point I wish I was listening to what you were saying.
This really is just like they're on the telly. It's brilliant.
Just admiring the show. Looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, where were we? Yes. What we're going to do post-race for the highlights that you're really excited about.
Okay, we've got some new technology that we're going to be able to use to really analyse. So, for example, in India, when we had Lewis and Felipe Massa coming together, in the heat of the moment, you get 1 replay or 2 replays, which is all controlled by FOM. We don't control the race speed, so all we can do is add voice at that point. And then we get straight into doing our after show. And again, you're still under pressure, it's difficult to get into analysis. What we'll be able to do with the races that are not live is take time to go into whatever little studio we're using there, properly analyse it, break it down, come up with some footage that we can talk through to you, and show to you, which will show it from as many different angles as we have available to, you'll take it a stage beyond opinion to really lay all the evidence out there and hopefully analyse in a lot more detail. So that's just one example, but also getting all of the interviews. Very rarely on the live show do we get the top 3 interviews after they've come out of the FIA compound, so where we actually get the chance to talk to them. And if anyone has watched the Red Button, we often get the drivers just as they are, they're celebrating with the team, much more relaxed, much more given in the way they describe what's going on in the race. So we'll be able to package all that up and deliver it to you, as you said, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the Melbourne race is on, or at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening when it's a normal European race. So if you think about it, as the 10 live races will be exactly as you've seen, just with better quality in terms of the people that we've got all wrapped into the show, and the highlights packages will be a lot more analysis, a lot more at the end of the show, looking back on the race, of course, rather than all of the sort of front-loaded 3 men on a bike or whatever we happen to be doing. So hopefully it'll be a good balance over the course of the year. Ultimately, you'll be the judge, you'll decide what you prefer and what you like, and you'll tell us, and that's absolutely what we need. We need your feedback, because ultimately, we're fans of the sport, but we're there immersed in the show. We need you to tell us what you need to see, what you want to see, and we'll try and adapt it from there.
Here.
Yeah, sounds good.
And you're excited about Ben Edwards and Gary Anderson, aren't you?
Ben is such a knowledgeable man in motorsport. He did race. He was working in Formula 1 for Eurosport years ago. He's been obviously across lots of other forms of motorsport since then, and he's just a television professional and really knows how to do that, and will be able to be used in other parts of the show as well. I'm definitely the weak link in the commentary box because I'm not a television presenter with lots of experience. I'm kind of winging it and gaining experience as I go along, but I just want to say what I see, and sometimes I'll be right on reflection, sometimes I'll be completely wrong, and we'll correct that if that is the case. But Gary Anderson, I'm really excited about Gary coming on board, because now we actually have someone in the pit lane who knows what he's talking about, who's designed the cars. That sounded bad.
It was.
Who can absolutely say, look, they're running this wing because the vortices are going to create this flow downstream, and he'll be obviously technically driven, and hopefully we'll be able to sort of tone that down for those who don't really understand all the technology of the sport, like myself. And I think that's such a great addition to the team. So hopefully we'll tick all the boxes.
And of course, like you, DC, Gary writes for Autosport and brings unrivaled technical analysis.
I think what David meant by knows what they're talking about. Ted was brilliant, Martin was brilliant, and Sky are very lucky to have them. But as David will testify, unless you've been there and designed a Formula 1 car, it's very difficult to know everything about everything. And sometimes if the teams don't want to give us the full truth because it reveals too much, it's so hard to get that information. But Gary's got the ability, hasn't he, to look at something, and just by looking at it, he will know why it's there, what it does, and how it's come to be.
Well, also, people will answer a question in a different way. I know when I interview a driver, quite often they'll say, as you know, because they know that I know what it feels like to go through a casino square in Monaco. So it changes the way they answer the question. It's not about trying to massage my ego, but it allows them to open up in a way, because they can't BS an ex-driver. In the same way, the technical people, I wouldn't know whether a designer was telling me the truth or not, because I'm not a designer. But Gary was, and probably still does a bit of hobby design or something. So I think you'll get much better answers out of those sorts of people. So that's why I say it will strengthen that team.
Yeah. Anybody who designs the 7-Up Jordan can be involved.
Great drink as well.
You're on a bung from 7-Up, aren't you?
No.
Quite clearly.
Do they still sell it? I've not seen it for years.
It's called Sprite now.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's why, okay. I'm still searching for marathon bars. What happened to them? The world is just disappearing before my eyes.
We've got Curly Whirlies backstage, which is quite retro. Great. I want to do something seriously for a minute, actually, just to wrap up, if we can. DC, you do a lot of ambassadorial work with charities, and one of the things that's quite close to your heart is Wings for Life. And I think the VT we're going to see now perfectly encapsulates the powerful nature of this. Just watch this, folks.